Derek Lewis victorious in his hometown. Valentina Shevchenko was dominant as ever, and did Jon Jones really do enough to win that decision? What's up, everyone? My name is Andrew, coming to you from Play Action Productions, this new channel that I'm just going to talk about whatever I want, really. And today, the topic is UFC 247. Now, let me start off by pointing out the obvious. If you're watching this, obviously you're not watching the UFC clips from the fight or the pay-per-view. You're watching just UFC gameplay, like the PlayStation game. That's because I'm not trying to get sued out here. You know, it's my first video. The last thing I need is my channel getting taken down before I even get started. So I kind of just try to get the fights as close to possible. You know, a lot of these guys aren't even in the game. It's a couple years old now, and they don't update it as much as they probably should. Hopefully there's a new one coming out. Now, the first fight on the pay-per-view was Houston's own The Black Beast, Derek Lewis, everyone's personal favorite on the mic, taking on Ilir Latifi, the sledgehammer who was making his heavyweight debut. And we're going to start by talking about how Derek Lewis is apparently looking like a flyweight, like these naked kicks he was throwing, these high kicks at the knees. You think Derek Lewis, you think, you know, he's going to smother you on the ground, or he's just going to throw that right hand from hell and put you to sleep. But this guy's coming out with his knees. I didn't know anyone, you know, of his size was allowed to do that, but I'm glad they put that in. Now, all jokes aside, though, he was actually surprisingly impressive with his takedown defense. You know, DC in that title fight kind of exposed him a little bit. You know, it's kind of tough because DC's in his own caliber of wrestling, right? But Ilir Latifi was still, you know, an Olympian. I think he was a backup for the Swedish team in the Greco-Roman style. So he did take him down, but, you know, the way Derek Lewis was able to sit on his hips and kind of disperse his weight a little bit better and just not as easily getting thrown down. And I think that's kind of what won him the fight. You know, Ilir Latifi was getting these half guard positions where he can easily mount. And he didn't want that because, you know, you get mounted, Derek Lewis explodes, turns you around, and then you're sitting under 200, who knows, 80 pounds of just pure American Derek Lewis, and nobody wants that. So when you're just sitting in that position, not advancing, not barely throwing any significant strikes, you're not going to get the points from the judges, especially in this weird night of judges' scores. So when you look at the first round was obviously Derek Lewis, second round Latifi, third round could have gone either way, but that, you know, explosion at the end of it that Derek Lewis always does to try to get the finish, I think really sealed it for him. And like I said, the naked kicks he was throwing, you know, usually you're throwing a kick, you want to set up with some punches first so you don't get countered, but the power and the speed he was throwing it, like nobody, I don't even think his coaches probably expected that, like incredibly fast. See, a big thing in this fight was, you know, Latifi, his Greco-Roman style, including a lot of trips. Derek Lewis not even thinking about fighting the underhooks until like the very last time it happened. I'd say 2 minutes left in the third round. You know, when you're fighting a Greco-Roman style like that, you got to fight those underhooks to get that space. Even like one up, I think Dominic Cruz was talking about one up, one under. That'll even help you push off a little bit. And he was not doing that at all. But I guess, hey, you got the heart, the heart and the passion like Derek Lewis. That's all you need, right? So the first title fight of the two on the evening was Valentina Shevchenko defending her 125 belt against Katlyn Chookagian. And, like, I don't know, what can you say about Valentina? She won by TKO in the third round, 1 minute, 3 seconds. She's just dominant. Like, there's nobody who's as good or even close to her. You know, the amount of strikes she throws in the small amount of time, how quick she is to counter, how she got into that mounted crucifix position, like, just threw her on the ground. It was kind of weird that Katlyn tried to jump on her. I don't know if she was trying to pull guard or what she was doing, but it's just a tough situation. Well, Katlyn is obviously very good with her length. She's got great boxing, great kickboxing. She was throwing some strikes, but she couldn't find a range. And when Valentina found a range early, the writing was on the wall. It was pretty much over for her. You know, it's tough too because when Valentina gets her on the ground, she was doing nothing. She had that guard pulled tight. She was not trying to do any offense from the bottom or even trying to escape. She was just holding on for dear life, and that's how ultimately the fight ended. Now you got to think, like, they're both counter punches. Valentina's obviously steps and steps above, but you kind of got to be third in that situation. For people who don't know what that is, you know, obviously if you throw a strike first, you're first, the counter is second, but a lot of people call it third. Is, you know, you feint first, you have your opponent try to counter you to be second, and then you counter that counter, you're technically third. Katlyn might have had some more success trying to do that. I don't know. Who's going to have success against Valentina? Which kind of leads us to the next point. Like, you got to run the Nunes fight back, right? Both those fights were so close. Arguably, she was the champion in the second one. You know, judges are going to be judges. I don't know. It's so close you can go either way. But there's nobody in the 125-pound division that's going to give Valentina a tough time. Like, she's going to continue to dominate and be an all-star, which is great. You know, we love champions who defend belts, but Nunes has no competition. Shevchenko has no competition. We got to make it happen. And here we go. Main event. Creme de la creme, Johnny Bones Jones versus Dominic Reyes for the 205 light heavyweight title. And let's be real, would it be a Jon Jones fight without any controversy? Let me stop you there though. We're not talking eye pokes, we're not talking groin shots, we're not talking stoolgate, shout out Yoel Romero. I'm knocking on wood that we're not talking about any failed drug tests, but it's too soon to tell. But I'm just kidding. No, that's a bad joke, because if it happens, I'll feel bad. We're talking about some controversial judges' decisions. Now, it was a really close fight. Johnny Bones Jones won it 48-47, 48-47, and the questionable won 49-46. Now, let me explain to you, if you didn't watch it, why it's so questionable. Dominic Reyes came out super aggressive. The pressure he was putting on Jones, he honestly couldn't handle it. There was either a slip or a knockdown. It hasn't really been determined what it was yet. But he was beating him with the left hand. He was beating him with the high kicks. The pressure he was putting on was outrageous. And it surprised me how Jon Jones couldn't really handle it. So round 1, easily to Dominic Reyes. Round 2 was very much the same. But, he slowed down a little bit near the end. He didn't look like he was getting completely gassed like you expect him to get based on how the pressure was coming. But he slowed down a little bit. It's got a little flat-footed, but honestly, the outpour was just incredible. Again, Jones couldn't keep up. Round 3 is where it gets a little fishy. This is the round where a lot of people didn't know who it went to. Jones was starting to get in his rhythm a little bit. Dom Reyes was getting a little slow, but the takedown defense for Dom Reyes was outstanding, man. Jon couldn't hold him down. He was pumped back up. He was raising those elbows on Jon so he could just shoot right back up, no problem. Championship rounds, though, champions do what they got to do. Jon came out and, he looked like a fresh fighter. He looked like he hadn't fought 3 rounds. Reyes was the opposite. The pressure was kind of getting to him a little bit. The pressure of what he was putting on, not the pressure of the title fight. But who really knows? Reyes kind of stopped with those nasty combos he was doing with the left hand and the kick. He was kind of throwing one punches trying to counter, and obviously that never works. Jones was continuing to try to go for a takedown. He was putting on a lot of pressure. He actually closed the gap in the strikes significantly in that 4th round. So that's an easy one for Jon Jones. Round 5, a little bit more of the same, The body kicks that Jon was throwing, they hurt me and when I heard them. And especially when you're gassed and you're tired and you're wheezing, you can't do anything to stop that. And, Reyes, though, you got to give him credit. He continued his movement for the entire fight, 25 minutes. A big problem with Jones's usual opponents is they'll kind of get flat-footed and they'll stand there and they'll just kind of wait for Jones to come to them. And then it's too late, Happened a lot with Anthony Smith. Gustafsson in the second fight, it doesn't work, especially against someone like Jon Jones, and Reyes knew that and did that even when he was tired. But it's just incredible how these these judges always got to sprinkle in a little bit. A lot of people had it 3-2 for Reyes, 3-2 for Jones. I had it either way. Wasn't too sure how it went, but you got to give huge shout out to Reyes. The pressure and the amount of outpour he was putting on. I don't even think Jones expected it. He said himself, he gained my respect. And that's coming from a viewer, a big fan of the UFC, and who's watched many, many fights. He gained my respect too. I think this is the dumbest rule in MMA, especially UFC, but this is how it goes. I want to preface this by saying I don't agree with it. But when you have a big title fight and you have a big champion like Jon Jones, you got to do something significant to win that title. Knockout, submission, something. Unfortunately, how it usually goes is if you win a couple rounds and you try to ride out the rest, they tend to go to the champion. I'm not going to say it's a thing, it's guaranteed, but that's usually how it goes. And I think that's what happened tonight. Again, don't shoot the messenger. I hate that. It's ridiculous. These judges shouldn't be choosing between challenger and champion. It's fighter A and fighter B. I'm not disagreeing with the decision. Like I said, it could have gone either way. But I think that's a fight you got to run back. I know Corey Anderson wants a title shot. Young Blachowicz wants one, but I think you got to run that back because it was incredible by both men. Just absolutely great way to end the evening. Now, for anyone who stuck around and listened to me ramble about this one event for however many minutes it is, I really appreciate you doing so. MMA is just such a great thing, and the best part about it is the community, because there's so many, questionable decisions. Should this person fight this person? How is this technique done? There's just so much discussion of it, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. So if you have any comments about what I talked about or the event, leave them down below. I'd love to be able to communicate with anybody on this, just to hear different opinions. It's always good to keep fresh opinions in there. Stick around this channel. Like I said, I'll be posting a lot of UFC stuff, maybe some gaming stuff, really whatever I feel like talking about or rambling about on here. That's what's going to be on here. So again, thank you for watching.